What is up, Green Bay Packers fans? And welcome back. Nope. Here we go to the Daily Draft. I am your host and the publisher of Pack Report, Ross Uglem. Joining me live is Jacob Morley. Jacob, how are you?
I'm good. Here we are. We did it. Day one in banked. It's done, and we are here at beautiful NXT Golf Studio in Fargo.
Yeah, sure.
Beautiful.
We did it. They did it.
They did it
for the first time since 2022. By the way, what a moment. You know, I'm a huge pro wrestling guy. You're somewhat of an aficionado yourself. Just the way that Murphy played the crowd, man, like that was awesome. And
a true showman.
He was a true showman. It was like, and by consensus, the Matthew Golden pick, we'll get into everything. We'll get into the whole thing. But by consensus, the Matthew Golden pick was not like some epic. It was just like probably the guy they should have taken. Mm-hmm. And it was treated like,
oh, incredible. And it was incredible that he was able to just immediately go to the stands, to the crowd, and like speech. Like he got to go address the fans. Like that was so
somebody's cool. Like, I don't think he's supposed to do that.
Well, he said, Brian said that he already was like, hey, I want to get a workout in because I'm already here. And Brian's like, well, you're actually not allowed to do that.
There's a collective bargaining agreement. You're not under contract and you need to leave. There's an Anytime Fitness. Like,
please leave. Come back later.
We need a jersey number for my boy too. Yep. So the Green Bay Packers selecting Texas wide receiver Matthew Golden with the 23rd overall pick after fielding apparently some calls from the Philadelphia Eagles, probably other teams looking to move up. They declined. They did not go up. Boy, they would have had to go up for Ted McMillan. That was one of our big guys, but a couple of really Packers-y types. You mind pulling that up over here on the extra here? Bring the first round, the results of the first round into play, please. While he's doing that, yeah, I mean, certainly right. The Derek Harmon pick, right, is immediately somebody that Green Bay was probably looking at right in front of them, but McMillan gone.
Oh, it was brutal.
Shamar gone.
Actually brutal.
Yeah. Ibuka gone. Yeah, that little. I mean, the Packers probably weren't interested in Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. Shout out to our king. But that Shamar Stewart, Gray, Emeka Ibuka, Jahdae Barron, Derek Harmon onslaught.
Well, you're sitting 6 picks out. You go, all right, Ibuka, Barron, Harmon, and Stewart.
Yeah,
Stewart,
Shamar.
And he went, and you're just like, oh.
And
man.
the only, like I said, the only two guys they probably weren't interested in was Amari Hampton and then Gray Zabel. I thought, unfortunately, for my number 3 overall prospect in this draft, and one of the things that I'll say about my top 300 is like it has a hole in that I watch tape, and that's good, right? Watching tape is good. Watching these guys actually play football is good, but I don't know about this or that well-hidden sexual assault allegation. I don't know about this guy was an a-hole in the locker room, and I don't have Will Johnson's medicals. I don't know how bad his knee is. So it's hard to like weigh a value for that for me. And so I think I'm not going to say they're terrible, but they're not great at corner, the Chargers. And so for his college coach, Jim Harbaugh, to be like, you know what? No. After I think he took Junior Colson high last year, maybe another Michigan Wolverine. I can't remember, but I thought that wasn't great news. You know, they talked a lot about Will Johnson once Green Bay was on the clock. They actually talked about Azaraku quite a bit as well, something that we'll get into in a second. But yeah, the golden pick, 48th on my board, second round grade, but I only gave out 13 first round grades. So I'm fine. It's fine. I had tweeted out, no Golden, no Hairston, no offensive line. Thankfully, I watched a little bit more Golden, and I said I've sort of talked myself into Golden before they took him. Like I've sort of talked myself into Golden. I think our sheet, our guide is higher on Golden than I was specifically. But what were your thoughts? Where did you come kind of on this scale? Where did you fit in?
Golden was a super interesting one for me because early in the process, I was really gearing up to be like, this is going to be my guy. This is going to be my guy this year's draft process. And a lot of that was contingent on how good he was in the playoffs. And that was kind of fresh in your mind of like, man, this guy, there were points where he was the best player on the field in those college football playoff games.
Yeah.
And then you dive deeper into him and you're like, well, what's going on at the beginning of the year? Like, why is he not featured? Why is he not their wide receiver one? Why are they not running the offense through him if he was that type of player?
Isaiah Bond.
Right. And some of that is Isaiah Bond was the crown jewel. Like they paid a lot of money for Isaiah Bond to come play football for them. And it's becoming similar to the NFL where, hey, you're a high ticket free agent. You're going to get opportunities over the guy that maybe is even outperforming you in practice and throughout the week. And I think he just
took the job.
Yeah, it comes to a certain point where it's like, man, we're trying to win a national championship. This is our best offensive weapon. Like, throw him the damn ball, right? And that's what they did. He's our 19th ranked player in the guide.
Yeah,
our wide receiver too. So he did not have any shortage of like fans amongst us that graded him. So that's something to be excited about.
What's a 86.5?
The 86.5. That is a high round 2.
So you gave him a high round 2.
Yeah,
and I gave it. Yeah,
and so that
we're pretty similar.
And that's about right where he went. Right. I mean, in this year's draft class, it's like 15 to 40. Right. There's a bunch of guys in there. And it's like, if you like one, take them. And he was the guy they liked. Like we said, though, the board was not falling like advantageously for them as far as from what we think.
I think my only guy left with a 1. Oh, that's not the right thing. That's okay. I think my only guy left with a 1 was Will. I think
probably because there's not a ton. There wasn't just a ton of 1 guys.
Oh, and Burden.
Yep, and we like Burden a lot too.
We do.
But obviously, and here's the thing about the Packers and wide receiver, I trust them. You know, even if I like a guy more, like I would have taken Burden. Like I like Burden a little bit more than Golden, but I totally get why the Packers love Golden. I do. And watching it through like your first watch of all these wide receivers, I would, again, super high on Golden. And one of the reasons is like he just moves differently than some of these guys. And the 4.2 at the combine seemed like a fake number, not because he's not fast, but I didn't think he was that. I thought he was like a 4.4 guy, like good, quick enough. But you see in his tape the quickness, like the explosion, the start and stop ability. There are times that he gets the ball and it's like, man, he'll just explode from yards 15 to 20 and just cover ground unbelievably and then be able to just snap it off and stop. I think that's what they're going to love about him is the start-stop ability, the movement ability, because you see a kid like that and you're like, man, 21 years old, played in the SEC, was productive, played at Houston, was really good at Houston. Like we're going to teach him how to become an above average route runner. And I think he's got the movement and the feet and all that. He's got everything you need to be an elite route runner in the NFL. And I think, again, with the Packers and their model, the way they do stuff, like they hit on these guys more often than they don't. In the Packer people top 300 list, the only thing that he was a little bit short on is weight. They prefer 195, I think, but he was like 191, 193 at his pro day. So he's right there. We didn't get
he's short.
He's 5'11". He hits that.
You know what I mean? Like 191 means something different. If you're 6'1", 191, you're lean. If you're 6'2", 191, you're lean. You're skinny. I would not say that he is skinny at 5'11" flat. I think Texas listed him at 6 foot. I'm sure that was with cleats on. But
when we were watching him last night, and you had your opinions and stuff, we were watching him, and I kept saying, "Well, that's him, bottom of the screen." Like, no, that guy's too thick. That's not him. Like, no, that's him. That is him. So he looks, he's really well put together when you look at him on the field. And Goody talked about him as like a strong player. I think you see some of that when you turn the tape on. And again, like we look at his 2022 film as well, 2023 when he's at Houston. That's the stuff that you really start diving into like after the pick is in. And I mean, I get it even more. When he was an 18-year-old freshman at Houston, like he was playing really good football. And I get it's Houston, but Houston is not nothing. That's a decent football program. And he is the all-time leader for freshmen receiving touchdowns. as an 18-year-old freshman, he was able to come in and contribute right away. And I think that stuff matters, that if you can come in young and play and be productive right away, that kind of shows the type of athlete and the type of player that you are. And I think he's going to have an opportunity to do something similar in the NFL. And when you look at the draft guide powered by Packer report, like the first line in his pros is like, he is the type of player that will strike fear into defensive coordinators' hearts because of that speed, because of his ability to create big plays. He is someone that you absolutely need to account for every single play. I think you don't make a pick, based off of one of your players missing half of the season because of an injury, but he is going to be able to do the Christian Watson stuff that they need in this offense. Like, this is a timing and spacing offense. And if you don't have a guy that defensive coordinators have to say, well, if we don't have someone over the top of him, we got problems. Without Christian, they don't have that guy. Matthew's going to be able to step in and do that right away. And we said this last year with Brian Thomas Jr. a lot, and Matthew Golden is not the same type of player as him, but they both do have vertical speed. We would say, what's better than one Christian Watson?
Two.
Right. So if Christian comes back early and they get him down the stretch for a playoff run, and that gives Matthew a little bit of runway to kind of establish himself and what his role is within this offense, I mean, you're talking about two guys that are really, really scary vertically. And to me, that's exciting. And I kind of get the vision.
Yeah, I will get to this later. Like, I don't think this has anything to do with Christian Watson, but other than they needed speed, I think in no way does this mean that you have to move on from Christian Watson or that they don't operate on the field well together. The guy that I'm concerned with him operating on the field at the same time is Jaden Reed, just because Reed is not much of a blocker. He's not big enough to be much of a blocker. He's a slot guy. Golden was occasionally a slot guy and very often a manufactured release guy, where they were doing that motion away from the formation that the Dolphins did to kind of create some space for him. But if in 3 wide receiver sets, 2 of your wide receivers are Matthew Golden at 190 and Jaden Reed, who doesn't block, you're not going to be able to run the football the way that you normally would, right? So I think Christian Watson's dad, and there's stuff out there about all that, and I'm not going to get into it, but he said, I don't know what a 6'4", 205 guy has to do with a 5'11", 190 guy, just because they're both fast. They can't,
right,
still be on the team. So
guys, you're allowed to have more than one fast guy.
You are. Yeah.
It's not against the rules.
Yeah. Okay. So let me get to the negatives, because I want to go to positive town for the rest and just kind of explain, okay, why did you originally say you didn't want Matthew Golden? And why did you need to talk yourself into it? And why is he a second round pick for you and not a 1? Yak. That's a big one for me. If you're going to be a 5'11" wide receiver in the NFL, I need you to create plays with the ball in your hand. He had 8 forced tackles forced at Texas.
Yeah. He had more.
I know.
Okay.
He had like 10 at Houston. You want to know how many missed tackles forced Luther Burden had last year in kind of a down year for Mizzou? 30. Yeah. And I think it was more in 2023. And this is not going to be a burden to Matthew Gold.
I'm not going to burden you with that.
No. But okay, so not the yak ability that I would like. He's got a little bit of Musgrave to him. Yeah. Stay on your feet, son. A lot of diving catches, a lot of falling down after making a spectacular, great catches, but there's a lot of falling down. There's a little bit of Musgrave to him there. Some drops, not a huge deal on the drops, but it really was the yak and the staying on his feet, and they weren't doing a ton of just manufacturing touches for him. So if you're going to be kind of a smaller guy and you're not going to run block, and it's going to be potentially a dead giveaway if he and Reed are on the field at the same time, that it's a pass, unless one of those two can kind of find the dog in him. And I'll give Golden credit. He tries. It's just, you're not going to move guys when you're that size. So those are just, kind of some of my issues why I thought Jaden Higgins was a cleaner fit. Tet was certainly a cleaner fit. And then Burden, that was just a whole different thing for me. That's okay, well, he's a manufactured touches guy. He's DJ Moore. He's forcing 30 missed tackles a year. He's just on a different stratosphere. from that perspective. With that said, I gave him a second-round pick. For me, a second-round pick as a wide receiver means you're a good starter. Like, you're one of the best, and I don't mean like in a 3-receiver set. You're one of the best 2 wide receivers on your team in a good offense. That's what a second-round pick at wide receiver means to me. I only gave out 13 first-round picks this year, so I don't hate the pick. I would have rather they taken Burden. I certainly would have rather taken Will Johnson. Admittedly, don't know nothing about nothing on his knee. But yeah, those are the negatives. The positives, they're multiple. First of all, he is super fast. Second of all, he makes those spectacular catches. His catch radius for a guy who's 5'11" is incredible. His ability to win in the red zone for a guy who's 5'11" is incredible. His ability to throttle up and down, the sauce that he operates with in route running, the way he turns guys inside out, he eats up cushion, he separates. It's my number one thing. So I wasn't a big Laquan Treadwell guy, why I wasn't a big Quentin Johnston guy, right? You need to get open. Now, Tet McMillan had some not getting open, but there's at some point you have the size to just moss people. If you're like 6'2" or 6'3" or 6'1", or certainly 5'11", and you're not getting open and you're having to moss people, that's a problem. It's not a problem for Matthew Golden. Open all the time, and open by a lot, frankly. Adjusted well to some bad balls, played with not some great quarterbacks. And I don't know if you've seen this, Jake, but sometimes when Jordan Love throws the ball down the field, it's not exactly where it's supposed to be. Sometimes. He does a great job tracking the deep ball, does a great job adjusting to the deep ball. He just does a good job, and he is a fast. That is the big thing is I think I called the best case scenario for Golden Tyreek Hill and Greg Jennings' body.
Yeah,
that's the best case scenario.
Sure.
So,
I don't know if he's that fast on the field.
Are we getting a special guest?
Yeah, we will.
Okay,
we're going to get one.
Figure that out.
But
what do you want to talk? Do you want to get the special guest? Or you want to talk about that now?
Well, what do you want? I can talk about it right now, but I'm just texting him to hop on. But
okay, fair enough.
No, I was just gonna say too, like with the golden pick, I think he's Santonio Holmes. Like I've seen a lot of people talk about like, oh, he's Greg Jennings.
That's Jalen Rose.
Yeah, and you look at, and to me, it's not that Greg didn't have this stuff, and it's not that. And I think people need to understand how good Santonio Holmes was. Like I think some people think that's a slight. It is not. Santonio Holmes is a really good football player, and you look at like his body control on the sidelines is really, really nice, and his ability to get his feet in bounds and pluck the ball away from his body. Like you talked about his catch radius it's really good. Like that ball does not hit his chest. He's not that type of catcher of the football. I think Packers fans are going to be really pleased and that he doesn't drop the football a lot, because his last year at Texas, that thing hit his hands and it was not going anywhere. And last thing I'll say about him, and this was even leading up to the draft, there were some people that were like, sell me on Golden? Like what's the thing that you got to show me? And go watch his playoff games. If they needed a bucket, they were going to 2.
He was more of a bucket getter than a bomber.
Yeah. I mean, he really was. And that's, a lot of people are going to get like caught up on, oh, they got their deep guy. Yeah, they did, but he can win on all 3 levels. And that's something that like is in the write-up that I'm staring at right now, that I wrote up probably 2 months ago about this guy. But he understands route tempo as well. Like he's not just a fast guy.
He's
that's
a
just
throttle guy, baby.
And he's not, I'm just going to run my route 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, no, dude, you don't need to do that sometimes. Like understand like where you're at in relation of the route concept. I think his spacing is really good. I mean, when you watch him and then you look at it within the context of the offense that the Packers run, he makes a lot of sense. So I think he is going to be a really good player for them. I think he could be a really good player right away too.
I agree. And one thing I did see, like he's not Christian Watson. They're very, very different football players. Just because they're both fast, they're very different. But the other thing that I saw out there was, we just took Jaden Reed. Also, no. Jaden Reed is a slot receiver. Matthew Golden's not. He can win outside even at 5'11". My issue is not that Matthew Golden is Jaden Reed. My issue is you don't play Jaden Reed in 2 wide receiver sets. You just don't. They don't do it. And can you still run the football in 11 personnel with Reed and Golden on the field at the same time? How do you play Reed and Golden together? That is more of an issue to me than Golden like being the same guy as Reed or Golden being the same guy as Christian. Is when you're trying to run the football, when you're trying to be kind of what you are.
Yeah.
You know, that's
well, and you can talk about this too a little bit, Ross, because we talked about it last night. There's been a lot of talk of, hey, he can't beat man coverage. He's not a man coverage beater. Like, I push.
He had like 19 snaps of man coverage, man.
13,
it's
13.
Yeah, I'm not doing small sample sizes.
And if you go back and watch his Houston tape, like he has plenty of tape of him beating man coverage, of him defeating even press coverage, which was a concern of mine at Texas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's the thing. But then the other thing too, and you brought this up yesterday, and we're talking. This is a great point. If the NFL is telling you, screaming in your face, we're going to run zone 80% of the time, then why am I wanting desperately to go out and get someone that's going to beat man?
Let's bring our guest on. Joining us now. No, that's a little aggressive. We'll go back here. Tre Watson, how are you doing, man?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
We're good. We're breaking down the pick from last night. We're going to talk a little bit about, we won't take up too much of your time. We're going to talk a little bit about routes that they could go in round 2 and round 3 here on the day 2 of the draft. We're excited about that. Absolutely. But just kind of, we don't want to start drama. That's not what we're about. But I think it was on Acme Packing Company, some comments that you and your dad had made last night, and you both kind of, I won't say you walked those back because you didn't walk them back, but you offered some clarifying statements today, and I understood what you meant, and I just want to kind of give you a chance to sort of say with your chest what you meant, because I think I get it, right? Like, we just mentioned we're not 100% sure how Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden play together because of what a premium they put on blocking. As hard as Matthew Golden tries, he's still 5'11", 190, and Reed is not much of a blocker. So you've gotten sort of smaller. You could play Christian and Matthew together. In fact, when it happens, I think it's going to be sweet. Agreed. But it was just like the fit. Can you kind of explain what you and your father were sort of getting at when you struggled with the fit? Because I'll be honest, I struggled with it a little bit too.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, right, is like in the moment, the biggest disappointment, aside from the fit, I think that part was a little bit secondary, was we had assessed higher priority needs elsewhere, at more premium positions. And I think, aside from the Will Johnson situation, clearly something is going on there
there's a knee thing.
That is a serious issue. So throw him to the wayside. Just the edge position. There were some guys who fit, right? Who you're saying, hey, we've heard Goody talk about edge.
By the way, there still are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like one of those guys, man, it's just they're ripe for the taking. So I think that was like the biggest wave of initial disappointment for me and then my dad as well. And then when you dive deep into it, it's Matthew's a great player, super talented wide receiver, a lot of things you can do with him. But where does he fit into the puzzle of Green Bay's offense, Green Bay's current wide receivers, and who gets left out? If you're talking about he's going to play on the inside and do kind of the intermediate stuff, the motion, the traveling all over the place, that's what Jaden does. Right. So are you telling me Jaden's off the field? Because there's just absolutely no way. We saw Jaden start the season off as one of the hottest receivers in the league last year. And drops to the wayside. I'm tired of hearing about drops and all that kind of other stuff. Other teams deal with it. It's part of development. We passed the ball at the 30th best rate or 30th most rate in the league. Guys got to get into a rhythm. So now, again, adding with the passing rate, you throw Matthew in there, this rotation thing that it seems like Coach LaFleur really liked last year. Guys are rotating heavy. So you're already not getting a ton of opportunities. You had a 5th legitimate guy who first round pick, first one since 2002 or whatever. He's gonna play.
If they don't play him, there's gonna be a riot.
Yeah. Who doesn't play?
Yeah.
And if the guy that doesn't play is one of Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks, even when Christian returns at some point, if it's one of those three guys, now we no longer get to see if they're able to continue to develop. And we know this is Romeo's contract year coming up, just like it is Christian's. And then the year following, it'll be the same thing with Wicks and Reed. So, it just feels like it's kind of placing maybe more of a premium on a position when it wasn't necessarily there. That's where the disappointment lies. It's not about the talent. It's certainly not about competing with Christian. Fans seem to think that everything that we like, dislike has a direct correlation to Christian. No, we're analyzing the team, we're analyzing the offense, the game, the situation, the play calling, whatever it is in that circumstance. When you analyze football, you analyze the game. You remove the name, you remove the number on the jersey. You're just talking about the game. Not everyone is able to do that very well. And then when we debate with them, we're angry. So it is what it is. Like I said, I feel like that was just a cherry picked situation. If you had watched us set up the draft pick for Green Bay for really a couple weeks in a row, we put all that out on the table and then we explained it afterward. But if you take a 30-second clip of the disappointing part, it is what it is.
Oh, I mean, your dad had been saying like they need 2 wide receivers probably.
Exactly, but everyone forgets that instantly when you're disappointed in that moment.
So I think, look, there's definitely a world in which you have Tucker at tight end with Jaden inside, your brother at X, and Matthew Golden at Z, and all of a sudden it's it's getting real scary. And for the love of God, and please nobody take this as I don't like Josh Jacobs. Please do not throw the ball at the 30th most.
Pretty please. Pretty please.
You just gave the quarterback 55 M's and you just took a wide receiver in round 1. Please, for the love of God, throw the football.
I mean, dude, the wide receiver room is now a first-round pick, 2 higher second-round picks. Romeo was what, 4th-round pick, and then a 6th-round pick in Wicks. That's a lot of investment in the quarterback, $55 million.
And 2 top 100 tight ends.
Yeah.
2 top 100 tight ends.
And I mean, one who looks like a budding all-pro if given the right opportunity. You have to give these guys the ball. They needed to give them the ball before they invested in Golden. So it's like, like I said, all of that just kind of plays into it. It's like, all right, well, you better have a plan. And, rightfully, I assume they do. And I look forward to seeing it come to fruition in a big way. But like you said, I think there were like 28 pass attempts a game next year. That will not cut it.
Can't do
28 pass attempts in any given game, unless we get up by 50 in the first quarter, basically will be unacceptable. It'll be malpractice.
I think some of it, right? Like the Malik game plan was so different. And so like, I think that maybe skews the numbers a little bit, but it's such a small sample size. There were definitely Jordan Love games and maybe Jordan's knee injury too. But like there were some Jordan Love games where I was just like, throw the football for the love. Throw the football. Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate your time. Before we let you go, any favorites for at least just like pick 54?
Man, I think there's a ton of options on the table. I think I'll just kind of repeat our thought process yesterday, and especially now that the receiver position is, invested in for the time being. You got to go edge. If there's someone in that range of guys that, basically all of you have floated around a lot of the same type of guys. I'm a big JTT fan in particular, and I think if you're talking about in the 50s, he probably is going to be there, and it makes a lot of sense. I think
he's a starter, man. He is a starter.
His peak flashes, right? Like the Penn State game 2 years ago, I think he had every stat a defensive player can have, like almost on one play, like sack, TFL, forced fumble recovery, and scored a touchdown, had an interception the very next drive. Like that type of impact, even if you can just get a couple bursts of that, man, that's great value there. And I think he'd be a really good piece. He'd be a reliable guy and someone that his best football is certainly could be ahead of him.
All right. Hey, man, thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
We'll see you. All right, Tre Watson, everybody. That was good. That was, like I said, we weren't trying to stir up any drama, but it seemed like they're wanted to, or what wasn't represented, what the actual kind of thoughts were. So we mentioned I mentioned, or we've been kind of talking about the two sets, right? The corners and the pass rushers. A lot of guys, I think 7 guys that, and unfortunately we're not including Nick Scorton, because although he's close, he might not be as anti-Packers as I'm making him out to be. And then Mike Green, who we love as a football player, has some anti-Packersy stuff, plus just like character red flag stuff that probably isn't going to work. So the guys we came up with, or the guys I tweeted about, were JTT, who we just talked about, Ezaraku, who again is not super Packersy, but it's you're preying on Halfley to save us there. JTT, Ezaraku, and Landon Jackson. And then the corner side of things is a bunch of guys that would have kind of been, at least where I rank them, discussed at 23. Now, again, my rankings have an admitted hole of I don't have medicals. I don't have that information. So these are pretty film heavy rankings. Benjamin Morrison, Will Johnson, Savone Revel, and then Tre Amos, who, again, like, if Tre Amos would have been a pick at 23, I don't think you get that Matthew Golden pop, but people have been like, oh, yeah, okay. All right, I get it. So are you kind of, and we know they're not necessarily doing it the way we would do it, but are you kind of having that list of pass rushers and that list of corners, and then once it gets thin, maybe thinking about moving up? Or how do you think they're approaching this? Or do you have any other targets or names that you're looking at there?
Yeah, I think those are the two positions that you're hoping to land one of in round 2. I think at this point, like, the other big spot is interior defensive line. I mean, what
all the guys with snap went, though.
Yeah, right.
The big guys.
And so the guys that are left, and mind you, there's still a lot of really good players left, but there are guys that you probably can wait on in rounds 3 and 4 and get one there, because a lot of these guys maybe are like one techs that you hope have upside as a pass rusher, which is great. But the cornerback position, there's a lot of talent still there on the board. I mean, I
didn't even say Azarea either.
Azarea Thomas is still there. Benjamin Morrison, Ravel, and then the edge spot, a couple guys you didn't say, like Landon Jackson, still there.
I said Landon Jackson.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. A guy that I think
Princely. He's light.
Uman Lay. How do you say his last name?
Uman Mielen. Because I did a prospect primer. Uman Mielen.
He is light, but he was 264 at the Senior Bowl the whole week. So I think he cut a bunch of weight to test well, which he did. And so, like, if
and then he didn't realize that he didn't fit the Packer People Draft Guide things. Yeah,
what in the world? That's his only thing he's really missing. Like, he's got 34-inch arms. I mean, he's 33 7/8. And then the only thing is the weight, 244 at the combine. If he can get up to that 260 range, like, I think he's someone that they could be really interested in. You mentioned Azariku, Ashton Gillette from Louisville is another guy.
Is he a short? What's his deal?
He is a short-armed.
Okay.
Short, but he's
a short with short arms.
So he's
good though.
He is good.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe, when you get to round 2, maybe you start bending these rules a little bit with edge rushers, and I think they do, because honestly, these perfectly built.
It's
edge
just
rushers,
Tuimoloau now.
Yeah, they go. Savion Jones is a tier 1 fit.
He's not any good,
but he's more of like a day 3.
Yeah,
let's take a flyer on him, see if we can hit on a lottery ticket type. Fidel Diggs is another guy, day 3 type. Go. I mean, there are guys left that I think they're gonna like. Jordan Birch is another name that's been mentioned to Green Bay quite a bit. The only thing he's missing on is, he didn't test, but he's a little under on arms, but not by much.
He's big,
and so he's a guy that they could like. His on-field athleticism is really, really good. So I think the Packers could be fine with him not having a full athletic profile. It is kind of weird to me that someone that has that type of athleticism on the field doesn't test. I don't know why you don't, but this is the day and age that we live in. So he's another option for them. Femi Oladejo is the UCLA guy. He's more of like your off-ball maybe edge. Like he can do several things for you. He's someone. There's a lot of names,
like an Okoronkwo type.
Yeah, a lot of names left in the top tiered guys. Yeah, they're all gone, but there are a lot of names that they might really like. Like Landon Jackson is the one for me.
Landon Jackson or Tui Molau would be awesome.
And for me, Landon Jackson is interesting because it's like, here's a guy that is a 9.75 RAS, just absolute freak show of an athlete. What's different? I mean, there are things that are different. Don't get me wrong, but what is that different between him and like a Shamar Stewart?
Yeah,
like a not very productive guy, but from a talent perspective, from a tools perspective, if he hits his head on the ceiling, he's a
Pro bowler.
He's a really good player. So we'll see if he lasts. That would be a guy that I would be interested in trading up for. And I think that's a good question. Who are two guys? Give me two guys that you think would be interesting, or you would be like, hey, I would move up for this guy if he's there at like 42.
I mean, Will Johnson, but that like we're sort of almost taking that out, right? Just because whatever. Tui Molau for me, and then on the corner side, like Revel would be.
Revel or Amos.
I know you mentioned like Revel at 23 would be uncomfortable.
Well, that's where we're at though, right? Is like the guys that you liked in round 1 that you're like, oh, I don't think I like it at 23. Now those guys in play at round 2. You're like, let's
because I already have a Matthew Golden.
Let's roll with that guy. Or like who's the Alfred Collins, the interior defensive lineman from Texas.
I'd rather do that in round 3, but
he was picking up round 1 steam, and so I think he's going to go early on day 2. But if not, he's sitting there in round 2.
He's big with snap. If you're big with snap, you get a chance early. Usually,
he is that guy. That's like, hey, you're at the very least you're a 1 tech, but we think maybe you can develop.
If you're a 5 sack guy, it's really valuable.
Yep. So he's someone to keep an eye on for the Packers today.
All right, you got anything else?
No.
15% off.
I got to tell a story, though.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sitting watching the draft with this guy sitting next to me yesterday, and
I don't know how comfortable I am with any of this, but continue.
When Mark, we talked about Mark already, we're sitting there stressed, right? Because there was a certain player on the board that were like, man, do not take this guy. Please do not take this guy. Pretty much anyone other than this guy. And so the anticipation, like Mark, like what a showman. What an absolute showman. He just kept
the preamble to
all
the
right,
pick.
The pick is, but wait a second, look how great this crowd. I mean,
shout out
man. So I'm just sitting there like with my hands in my face and my hat over my eyes.
In 1919, when Curly Lambeau put together the Green Bay Packers.
Shout out, Mark. That was awesome.
It was. I was digging my nails into him because I
was very uncomfortable. I moved my laptop off the table because I was scared. And I'm just gonna say, I was scared that Maxwell Harrison was gonna be the pick.
I took his phone away so he wouldn't tip the pick.
Well, I was scared that you're gonna flip the table and break all my stuff. So I mean, from that perspective, I don't think you can be too upset with the golden pick.
No. Okay. As always, drink brewski, buy the guide, and go Pack Go. But use promo code day2 for 15% off the guide. If you didn't get it, whatever reason, you want to read up more on Golden, you want to read up on the guys they take today. The promo code daily was just $1 off. Let's take 15% off for you with promo code day2.
CJ West. Name to watch.